Imagine being sealed in a dark room with no escape for 30 days straight. The psychological effects would be catastrophic, but what happens when reality itself starts to collapse? For John Horgan, an American science writer, this was his reality in the summer of 1963. He had agreed to participate in a sensory deprivation experiment at the Wadworth Hospital in New York, led by Dr. Donald Hebb. Horgan's experience would become one of the most documented cases of sensory deprivation in history. The room he was placed in was soundproof and windowless, with a single light bulb that produced a faint hum. The temperature was kept at a comfortable level, but there were no books, no radio, no clock, just darkness. As Horgan sat in silence, he began to experience vivid hallucinations, which he described as a cosmic dance of colors and patterns. He reported seeing faces, shapes, and even entire landscapes, all of which seemed incredibly real. This was not just a product of his imagination. The brain's ability to create these illusions is a result of its attempt to make sense of the lack of external stimuli. The psychological effects of sensory deprivation are still not fully understood, but it's clear that prolonged isolation can lead to severe mental health issues. In 1970, a group of researchers at Harvard University conducted an experiment where they isolated 3 men for 7 days. The results were astonishing. Each man experienced intense hallucinations, with one even claiming to have seen a great, glowing tree outside the room. One of the most striking aspects of sensory deprivation is its effect on time perception. Without external cues like clocks or sunlight, our sense of time becomes distorted. In 1968, a study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants in sensory deprivation experiments consistently underestimated time by an average of 23%. This phenomenon is known as time dilation, and it's not limited to sensory deprivation. Astronauts have reported similar experiences during prolonged spaceflight. As we delve deeper into the world of sensory deprivation, we'll explore its connection to schizophrenia, a mental disorder characterized by distorted perceptions of reality. Research suggests that individuals with schizophrenia may experience heightened sensitivity to external stimuli, leading to increased hallucinations and disorganized thought patterns. Section 2: The Science Behind Sensory Deprivation. The brain's response to sensory deprivation is a complex process involving multiple neural pathways and neurotransmitters. When we're exposed to a lack of external stimuli, our brains attempt to compensate by generating internal noise. This can lead to the formation of phantom sensations, where individuals report feeling touch or pressure even when there is none. In 2011, a study published in the journal Neuropsychopharmacology found that sensory deprivation increases activity in the brain's default mode network, DMN. The DMN is responsible for our internal mental simulations and is active during states of relaxation. However, excessive DMN activity has been linked to various neurological disorders, including anxiety and depression. Sensory deprivation also affects our emotional state, with many participants reporting feelings of intense fear, anxiety, or even euphoria. In 2015, a study published in the journal Psychopharmacology found that sensory deprivation increased levels of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This can lead to a range of psychological effects, including decreased cognitive performance and increased risk-taking behavior. Section 3: The Dark Side of Sensory Deprivation. While sensory deprivation can be used as a tool for research or even therapeutic purposes, its potential misuse is a concern. In the 1960s and 1970s, some institutions experimented with prolonged isolation as a form of behavior modification. This involved confining individuals in small rooms without human interaction, often with severe psychological consequences. One notable example is the work of Dr. Wilhelm Reich, an Austrian psychoanalyst who developed a treatment called orgone therapy. Reich claimed that his technique could cure patients by subjecting them to prolonged isolation and sensory deprivation. However, his methods were widely criticized as inhumane and ineffective. The ethics surrounding sensory deprivation are complex and contentious. In 2018, a study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology raised concerns about the use of sensory deprivation in interrogation techniques. The researchers argued that prolonged isolation can lead to extreme psychological distress, including hallucinations, paranoia, and even suicidal behavior. Section 4. The connection to schizophrenia. As we've mentioned earlier, individuals with schizophrenia may experience heightened sensitivity to external stimuli, leading to increased hallucinations and disorganized thought patterns. Research suggests that sensory deprivation may exacerbate these symptoms, particularly in the early stages of treatment. In 2019, a study published in the journal Bipolar Disorders found that patients with schizophrenia who underwent sensory deprivation experienced significant increases in psychotic symptoms. This included auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, and even catatonia, a condition characterized by immobility or lack of response to external stimuli. The connection between sensory deprivation and schizophrenia is not fully understood, but it's clear that prolonged isolation can have severe consequences for individuals with pre-existing mental health conditions. As researchers continue to study the effects of sensory deprivation, they must also consider its potential risks and limitations. Section 5. The future of sensory deprivation research. As we look to the future of sensory deprivation research, several areas require further exploration. One key concern is the development of more humane and effective methods for inducing sensory deprivation. This could involve the use of virtual reality technology or other non-invasive techniques that reduce the risk of psychological harm. Another area of study involves the neural mechanisms underlying sensory deprivation. By understanding how our brains respond to prolonged isolation, researchers can develop more targeted treatments for mental health conditions like schizophrenia and depression. In conclusion, the effects of sensory deprivation are complex and far-reaching, with potential applications in fields ranging from psychology to neuroscience. While its misuse has been a concern throughout history, ongoing research aims to harness its power for therapeutic purposes. As we continue to push the boundaries of human knowledge, it's essential that we prioritize the well-being and safety of our participants. In John Horgan's case, his experience in sensory deprivation had a profound impact on his writing career. He went on to become one of the leading science writers of his generation, publishing numerous books and articles on psychology and neuroscience. His story serves as a powerful reminder of the human capacity for resilience and adaptation, even in the face of extreme isolation. The phenomenon of reality collapse remains a subject of debate among philosophers and scientists. Some argue that sensory deprivation can lead to a complete breakdown of one's sense of self, while others propose that it simply reveals underlying psychological structures. Regardless of interpretation, one thing is clear: our understanding of sensory deprivation has the potential to revolutionize fields like psychology, neuroscience, and even philosophy itself. In this video, we've explored the intricacies of sensory deprivation, from its effects on time perception to its connection with schizophrenia. By examining real-life cases in scientific research, we've gained a deeper understanding of the human brain's response to prolonged isolation. As we continue to push the boundaries of human knowledge, it's essential that we prioritize the well-being and safety of our participants, and the potential benefits that sensory deprivation can bring.